Welcome to the Library of Living History, a Hoff Family Arts Foundation, Inc. podcast. This podcast is held live on every fourth Friday of every month, except for the ones towards the end of the year. If you want to keep up to date on when and where we're going to be recording, please take a look at our socials, Hoff, H-A-A-F, Family Arts, on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions or want to learn more about the other programs we are doing, feel free to give us an email at Hoff, spelled the same way, familyarts@gmail.com. If you are new to our podcast, welcome. We just wanted to let you know before you begin that we are not going to be censoring any of our guests. We want to make sure that the Library of Living History reflects an accurate account of the lived experiences of those of us in Beverly City and its surrounding areas. So please be mindful of listening ears, and please enjoy the show. One more quick thing to add while I'm in the middle of editing this episode. Our guest this month, Harry Craythorn, was super excited to get started. So if it seems like we're running a little out of order before the initial introductions, don't worry, they're still on the way. Thank you so much for listening, and please enjoy the show.
So the city council put it on a referendum, and the voters voted to keep the police department. But that's what these articles are.
So Ralph Prince wanted to he wanted to cut the school budget and expand
He was one of the ones that was fighting to disband. See, they floated a petition to disband the police department. Right. And Ralph was one of the ones that was for keeping the police.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's what one article that was in there. Yeah, they had 100 residents. Well, that's a repeat of that. And this is all police contract stuff. I don't think that's going to be relevant here. Pay dispute, no. And this is something, I don't know if Katie remembers this, but when I started my career as a patrolman, Gail Lerner from the Burlington County Times did an article on lookalikes for celebrities. Oh. And they said that I looked like Shatner. So they did an article on that.
Oh my
gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was.
This is why paper never goes out of style.
Yeah, that's right.
They put all this stuff on it, but it's gone.
Right.
Paper stays.
Hi there.
How are you?
And this is a book. This is not. And this is a book. Remember I put this out?
Oh, I remember you.
This was a book that I put out to all the schools.
Yep, I do remember that.
To keep the kids away from drugs.
Better. Oh, nice.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of our Talkback series. Is no longer called the Living Library, though. We have decided that to kind of represent what we're doing a little more clearly, we are calling it the Library of Living History.
Yeah.
I think that that's a bit more accurate to what we're trying to do because we're trying to record the history of who's living in town or has impacted the town now. This week and this month we have Harry Craythorn. He is the first person under our new label, so we're very excited to have him here today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
There you go.
So the way that this kind of goes is we just want to hear from you. If you want to do it in a question-answer style, that's up to you. If you want to just talk about it, or if you want to go back over to the memorabilia you brought today and discuss that as well, it's your show. So, without further ado,
I'm just going to give you a little overview about me. First of all, I'm a Beverly boy. I was raised in Beverly. I was born in Zuberg Hospital in Riverside, and I lived down at Delcove Homes, 107 Delcove Homes. That's where I was raised. And we moved from Delcove Homes to Magnolia Street. As a kid growing up, I was very active in baseball, sports. I loved baseball. I even got into it when I was older, as coaching and managing one of the teams. So we did that. And then actually, I got out of high school. I majored in printing at the Votech School in PCIT. And I said, well, in 1977, I was a dispatcher for the police department. And I saw how the operation worked, and then I said, well, let me get my foot in the door. So Gene DeFlippo, who was the current chief at the time, hired me as a part-time officer. And I liked it. And I worked 3 days a week, usually weekends, and I liked it. So I kind of continued to grow that interest that I wanted to help people. I mean, you ask a law enforcement officer, and that's the answer they're going to give you because that's a true answer. They want to help people. You know, we're certainly not in it for the pay. I can tell you that. And I mean, it helps, but you know, now they're making some pretty good money after I retired. They're doing pretty good. But I said, well, let me get my foot in the door. And I was working at Wall Rope. Anybody familiar with Wall Rope in Beverly? My dad worked there. A lot of my relatives worked there. And I ran a machine. It was called a former, and it used to make nylon Navy rope for the ships. And John Cannulli, Sr., worked the former, and he would take the 3 threads that I would do and combine them into the final product of the rope. But anyway, I worked there for 6-7 years, and then I decided, well, I want to get into police work. So Wall Rope relocated to Elkin, North Carolina, because they bought a Sunbeam plant and figured they could make more money down there. A year later, they went out of business. So what I did was, I went to Gene and I told him, he said, you want to be a patrolman full time? I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I went to the police academy. I took the chief's test, the civil service test, passed it, and went to the police academy for 23 weeks, graduated, got out, became a patrolman. And then I was, 4 or 5 years later, promoted to sergeant. And then there was things going on in the police department, which I don't want to elaborate too much on, where Gene had to leave the office for reasons that he couldn't. I don't want to get into what he did because I don't mar that issue, because all I know is the mayor was over my house saying, we need a police chief, we need a police chief. I said, well, I'm just a sergeant. Well, we want a Beverly board. That'd be great. You live in town. And that's what the council looked like. It was a favorable thing. We got a guy on the payroll that actually lives in this town. They haven't had that much other than Fred Plumby, who was the chief before Gene. Gene lived in DeMico, but they liked that relationship with me. As when I got in there, I lived in Beverly. They felt good about that. At that time,
Mayor
Frank Costello. He's a good man. Good man. I was with him during them days where he was going through chemo and radiation, and he would come in that building so tired and wore out. And I respect him dearly for that, and I was at his house a couple of days before he passed, so I respect him immensely. Frank was a good guy. We got along great. I had no problem with him and most of the council. We did have a few that didn't want to, there's maybe 2 that didn't want me as the chief and didn't want the police department to exist, but we had 9 members. They still have 9 members on the, no more 9 members on the council? 5 members, okay, yeah. That makes more sense to me. Yeah. You gotta have an odd number. You can't have even, because you'll never get anything accomplished. Regardless of what parties, all Democrat, I take it too, right?
Yes, yeah, right now, yeah.
That's another thing I wanted to tell you. So anyway, I became the police chief in 1990, and I enjoyed it. And in 1996, Gary Daniels ran for sheriff, and he won the election. And Gary and I go back a long time, because when I was a dispatcher, Gary was an undercover detective investigating a lot of the marijuana undercover operations in Burlington City, and they worked with Beverly City jointly. So I was the dispatcher buzzing him in to let him in with his big afro and a big Volkswagen outside. And he said, you gotta hide me, my informant's coming, you gotta hide me. So I would let him in and out, but we had a good relationship. I've known Gary for years. Anyway, bottom line is, he showed up at the police station one day when I was there, and he said, would you like to come out to the office and talk? I said, about what? Well, I'm in office, and I want somebody that has the knowledge that you have to run the sheriff's department out there, be the chief of the county. I'm like, ooh, okay. So I said, well, Gary, here's what I'm going to do. I'll come out, I'll hear you and Gene Stanfield, who was his undersheriff at the time. I said, I'll hear you guys out, and I'll make a decision, but I can tell you what I'm going to do. I got my family together, and we discussed it over Sunday dinner, and I threw the pros out there, I threw the cons out there, and ultimately the pros outweighed the cons. It was, to me, and it wasn't so much, it was more money, but it wasn't a substantially a large amount of money. But to me, it was a career move. Sure. That was the major decision in my mind, and that's the way my family felt. So I'm talking about my father, my in-laws, my wife, all my siblings, they thought that was. So made the decision to go out there. And I went out there, and he gave me a tour of the place, and I said, yeah, Gary, I'm going to do it. And the hardest part was leaving people like Kate. She cried her eyes out when I walked out of there. I felt so bad. And that's the thing I miss. The employees, the council, everybody I worked with there, I never had a problem with them, and I miss those folks. But then I went out to the county, and I got to know a whole lot more people.
Yeah.
Dealing with the freeholders and the county, the entire county. And I went from supervising 12 officers to supervising 88 officers.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 sergeants, 5 lieutenants, and I was the chief. So I went out there in 96, and I retired there in 2006, did 10 years at the county, and was promoted ultimately in the last 3 years as a county undersheriff, which the title I heard, the sheriff. Jean Stanfield, the undersheriff, was promoted to sheriff, and then she promoted me to undersheriff. So I retired as a county undersheriff out there, and that was in 2006. So that's the timeline as far as my career goes. And then I didn't stop working. I went to Hawaii. I took 3 months off, and then I decided I want to get back into working part-time for the Bridge Commission, for the police department. So Gary Daniels happened to be the director of the Bridge Commission down there, the police department. So I went to his office. Harry, you want a job? Sure. Okay. And I think I worked that job probably about 4 or 5 years. And then finally after that, I said, no more, I'm done, I'm retired. One of the key factors to remember is I was pretty honored because when I was named police chief, I was the youngest police chief in the state of New Jersey at age 31.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
Which was an honor. There's not too many 31-year-old police chiefs out there. Because I went to the chiefs meeting and these older guys, and they're like, what the hell does this guy know? What is he going to try to tell us? I'm like, hey guys, I'm all ears here. I'm here to learn, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a know-it-all, So, and they welcomed me, and once they got to know me and I kept going to the meetings, we had a pretty good relationship, and then they made me the secretary of the Chiefs Association. And then I was the treasurer for 1 year, but basically he put me back in as membership secretary to keep track of all the rules of who the members and guests were and stuff. So, yeah, I retired in 2006, and then I worked for the Bridge Commission, and that's pretty much the timeline for my career. It was quite an experience in Beverly. There was a lot going on when I was there. We had a riot where we had to have the state police come in to help us. I mean, they threw a brick right through the windshield of the police vehicle.
What year was that?
Ooh, I'm going to say probably, about 94, 93, 94. The patrol cars would go down Broad Street, and they would have rocks and bricks and stuff thrown at them, and one went through the windshield. And at that time, I had 3 guys out. And me, I mean, one thing you want to remember is most of your police chiefs don't work the road. Most. I do. I worked the road. I worked a 12-hour shift. And that was a win-win for the town because they weren't looking at an administrator to pay them.
Yeah.
They're getting 12 hours out of me, which is okay. I'd rather do that. When I wasn't out on the road and it wasn't busy, I'd come in and do the administrative work. There's a lot of work involved. You had to report the uniform crime reporting to the state and the FBI. There's a lot of administrative, and Kate naturally helped out with a lot of that. Accident reports, you don't know the work that goes into the everyday makings of running an agency of law enforcement. So,
we respect you. We really do.
Well, thank you.
And all of the officers before and after you.
Yeah.
Dominic and I really do.
Yeah.
Respect.
You folks, your name?
Betty Marazzo.
Oh, that name's familiar.
Marazzo is Dominic.
Dominic, yeah, okay.
From Riverside.
Nice. Okay, nice to meet you folks. Yeah. It's an interesting career. I wouldn't recommend it nowadays, honestly, but it was a real good time. Things are different today.
Do you have maybe a grandson that grew up in Riverside? Who lived in Riverside?
No.
Because I coached PAL when I lived in Riverside in the 90s, and I coached a kid. His name was Craythorn.
I have a lot of relatives.
No.
I have 4 grandchildren, and they're not even at the age yet to be playing PAL, but...
He would have been born like 1990.
Yeah, now it could have been my uncle's son's son,
Sure.
Billy Craythorn lived right down the street. William Craythorn, he lived right down the street from the L&M Bakery on Stewart.
Okay.
There's a lot of Craythorns. Most of them were from Beverly.
Yeah.
You go out to Monument Cemetery, you'll see Craythorn on the headstones all over the place. We had quite a few. I had an ancestor, Sidney Craythorn, and I believe King. We were talking. I had a book that somebody gave me. I can't remember who gave me. They found it in the house, and it was a book that I had. Sidney Craythorn was a doctor, and he had an office at Putnam and Cooper Street. So our name is. I've got a lot of ancestors. A lot of roots from Beverly. Beverly is, you know.
That's great.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I enjoyed the work. I mean, that is good times and bad times, you know.
Like everything.
But I enjoyed because I liked serving the people that I knew. That made the job a lot
When you worked
easier.
for the bridge, did you work with Tom Coleman?
Yes, I did. He was my best friend.
I went to high school with
Tom and I used to go to Florida
Very good.
every year.
Very good
Tom
man.
was a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Him and I went to, he was the juvenile officer before he retired in Riverside.
When he was running for township committee, he was the juvenile officer, and he was the DARE.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was a DARE officer.
Jason St. Casimir's.
And and when we were working on this campaign together, he said, I said, hey Tom, I got a good slogan for you, because I says you could use this, dare to be different, and he used that for a period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because everybody knew him in Riverside as the dare.
Tommy was one of the most well-liked people, and I got to work with him at the Bridge Commission.
Yeah.
We would work. Him and I were in charge of that. I don't know if you remember how they redid the landscaping and the stuff they did years ago just on this side of the bridge.
Yeah.
Got the big. I was there when they brought the crane in, and the guy was being paid like $1,000 an hour
Oh my goodness.
to put that welcome to.
Whoa.
Yeah, welcome to New Jersey, you know, but Tommy and I, we were the traffic control officers that ran that whole operation, the detours, the roundabouts, wherever the detour the traffic because of whatever they were doing. They put pavers in and you had to shut 3 lanes down.
This was the
Burlington Bristol Bridge, yeah.
My mother was born a half a block from the Burlington Bristol Bridge
On Pearl
on Pearl Street.
Yeah, that's where my mother lived, East Pearl Street.
No, this was West Pearl.
West Pearl?
Yeah, half a block from the
My
bridge.
mother was a Brogan. I don't know if you know,
My
the
mother-
Brogan is a Burlington city name.
My mother's maiden name is Pellini. Her brother was in Ambrose was in the Hope Fire Company.
Okay.
He was big time.
It's funny how my mom and father met. My dad was from Beverly. My mom was from Burlington. The Burlington girls used to come to the skating center on Laurel Street down there, and that's where my mom and dad met, and that's how I got here.
Now you got here.
That's how I got
Now
here.
you
My
happen to
father
be.
was from Riverside, and my mother was born in Burlington. And my mother and her older sister used to take the bus to Riverside Firehouse for the dances,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and that's how
That's
my
how
mother
they
and
met.
father. My
Yeah.
mother and father.
See,
met.
that's history that you don't hear about it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
To hear about it.
But yeah, I mean, it was hard to leave Beverly. I really felt bad about it, and really the town was kind of in like a pickle because, hey, he's leaving. Who are we going to get? You know.
Yeah.
And it was rough, you know, and I understood that, but I couldn't balk at this opportunity for my career. I just couldn't do it, you know. And it worked out well because I retired doing pretty well, which I don't know if I stayed, if I would have been making what I was making in my final retirement time there. I can't say that for sure, but
probably.
it was an interesting career. And there's not too many officers that would have the career like I had. I was blessed.
And you're still smiling, and you are blessed.
Yeah.
My mother's best friend in high school was Mary Betty Loudon.
Uh-huh.
That was, yeah.
Yep.
Went all through school. She went through Burlington City.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Beverly's a very historical and unique place.
Somewhere along the line, you won an election.
Yes, I did. And I haven't gotten that, but I'm going to talk. Yes, I
You're the
did.
president.
All right, okay.
I'm going to. At the time when I left Beverly, there were some people that were in the minority. They were. I'm a Republican, okay, and I'm not a politician. But when I left Beverly, I was a Republican. So when I went out there to work for Gary, we had some people in Beverly that wanted to run for office, and they said, well, we got 9 Democrats. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Republican in here? And I'm like, well, it'll be 8-1. I mean, what could I do? You know, what am I going to get accomplished, you know, other than working with them, you know? And they talked me into running for election. And I was the first Republican elected councilman for a 3-year term in 25 years.
Wow.
And the only one that was there that wanted before me was
Steve, Bell.
yeah, Bell, but
He was
but before him, it was Duke Stevenson and Neiman. They were the two that ran on the ticket back in the 70s. So I mean, that's how long other than Bell. Bell was on there.
An accomplishment.
But yeah, I mean, I ran and I won. I won by the first time. I won by a lot of votes, but I ran for re-election and I lost by 1 vote the second time around. And I'm like, I had enough anyway,
Easy. One vote.
But it was nice to work with them. I mean, I don't draw the line between it. A lot of my
We're all
friends.
created equal.
That's right. And a lot of those people, Cornell Hawkins, he's one of my best friends. He's been a Democrat for years. I don't have an issue with that, I look at what the person accomplishes while they're in the office, in the position.
Sure.
What they do, what actions they take, what good they do for the town.
Absolutely.
That all adds up. And when you get final results like that, that's what the people that pay their taxes so dearly want done. They want to see, what are we getting for our money here? And Beverly's in a tight dither. They always were because they have no ratables. I remember years ago when I was a kid, Bonnet, they had ratables from Bonnet. They had all the ratables, but Bonnet, at the wash rag factory on Wall Street, all your mom and pop mini warehouses, I'm going to say, that were located throughout the town went out of business. So no business, no ratables.
Sure.
And that's the problem because Beverly has no choice but to raise taxes because they have they're in this globe and they can't branch out. They're stuck.
Yeah.
You got to raise the tax. The costs go up.
Yeah.
Police costs, trash pickup.
Sure.
The three big things,
That's why
are the most expensive.
That's why sharing
services. Right.
services would help.
That never happened either.
And when I was on
know,
council, I was on the Shared Services Committee with Vic Vittorino. I don't know if that name rings a bell. He used to be the mayor of Delanco, Vic Vittorino. Tom Pouillon, Tom Pouillon, right?
Yeah.
Well, me, Tom Pouillon, and Vic Vittorino were on the Shared Services Committee. I was the rep for Beverly. Vic was the rep for Delanco, and Tom Pouillon was the rep for Edgewater. And we got together and we started talking about, let's do all three trash. Let's do all three. We were talking about regionalizing the police force. That didn't fly.
Oh, I know.
And the taxpayers wanted nothing to do with that. And every town, and all three towns. Their opinion was, we like who we got and we don't want anybody else.
Even if it will
Save money, yes. They want their own police force.
Your outlay, yeah.
In the 1990s,
They're tough.
I belonged to St. Peter's Church in Riverside, and I was president of the parish council. And St. Casimir's, Tom Coleman was president of the parish council. And since we were friends, we worked on, both of the churches were struggling, and we worked on, me and Tom, shared services, like house cleaning and things like that. And we had it all worked out. It was going to be pretty good. And we presented it, and both churches were staffed by Franciscan priests, but different provinces.
Right.
We were, St. Peter's was the province from Syracuse, and St. Catherine's was a province from Baltimore. And we presented it to her, and the priest couldn't get along, and it fell apart. Because the priest
that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate,
It is.
I think even today, I'm pretty active. They would like me to jump in politics in Delanco, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, But
Retired's retired. Remember that.
No, I don't.
Remember that.
I don't want to do it. What I do, I don't even go to. I watch the Delanco town meetings on Zoom on YouTube. I try to watch them instead of going to the meeting. And sometimes I pop in there and show up. But if I do, they go, hey, we would like to run the road this next year. No. I'm a spectator right now, I don't want to be involved. But they got a good group down there. But I even getting about this shared services, which was a big thing years ago. It's not so much an inference now. It's not that much focused now. But even Delanco, I think we have an agreement with the city on street sweeping, right?
Yep,
we got a great driver of a street sweeper around there.
Beverly?
Yeah, Bobby Crabtree. He cleans the streets with his street sweeper. That is an asset. People going by, you see that going down their street, they love it. Okay, now we're getting something for our taxes, So I know they have some arrangement. I don't know the details about it.
Does it come down your street?
Oh, sure does.
Oh, I didn't know that. Does it come down?
Oh, yes. They go down the town. It's a township. It's not a county. It's the township street sweeper.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it goes up and down all the.
Well, I hope to see it in my neighborhood.
Well, I don't know how Beverly does it.
Better than the Mr.
Beverly-
Softy machine.
Beverly may take the position that they'll just do the county roads or the most. I mean, but they don't do it a lot, but they do the side streets of Delanco when they can. You know, when they can.
You live in Delanco?
Yeah, I lived there.
Obviously.
I moved. Here's how I lived in Beverly all my life, and I'll never forget the day I moved. I moved in 2002. It was a year after the towers went down, and that's something else I want to touch on. That beef and beer I had and took the money up to the towers to the firemen that lost 13 in their ranks. That's another thing. I forgot about that. Put that on there. But
Wow.
yeah. So, but
When you moved?
when I moved, John Fenimore, he's a superintendent. He's my best friend. John and I are best friends. He lives right around the corner from me. He has the only log cabin in Delanco. And he's a great guy. I mean, I think he's been there 54 years,
Wow.
and he's going to retire next year.
Oh, thank goodness.
But he tells me that. Well, Kate, but he tells me that. But he tells me that every year. Don't put that in this article, by the way, because I don't want to offend him. But anyway, he's a great guy. He does a great job.
Oh, he does.
And
He
you know,
needs to retire.
and this is why I'm bringing his name up because he helped me move. And I never forget the day I moved because I moved Memorial Day 2010. I got stuck in the Delanco Memorial Day parade. Loaded with all my bureaus, my beds, my sofas, 4 or 5 trucks, all my friends, and we're stuck there for an hour waiting for the parade to go past the door.
Didn't think that one through.
I forgot all about that Sunday Delanco parade. You know, Beverly's is Monday, Delanco's is Sunday, and I forgot all about it. And the guys that helped me always talk to this day. Harry, I know the year you moved because we were stuck on the Memorial Day parade.
So when some of them weren't in the parade.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're all firemen.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing I want to touch on. Part of my life, another big part of my life is I have 50 years in the fire department.
Fire company here, yeah.
I'm the treasurer. I've been the treasurer for 18 years. And I joined as a junior member when I was 17 years old, and I'll be 68 next month. So I got 50 years in, and I loved it. I love it. I'm not active now. I haven't been active for some years, but I was in my prime. I was active.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of behind the scenes things.
Other juniors.
But see, what I do, I live right in Delanco, not even just short rundown here. If they have a vendor that needs to get in to do the HVAC checkup or an inspection, I'm the guy they call. Harry, can you run? Joe Robinson's another great guy, fire administrator. He'll call me and say, Harry, can you get on there and let that guy in? Yeah, okay. And you know, I help out when I can. And but that's another. And when I was in there, we used to run these beef and beers for needy families. And a lot of people don't realize that. We had a gentleman that lived 2 doors down from me, Lori Canan's.
Oh, yes.
He had lung cancer, and he was a roofer. He had no health insurance after that. And he had trouble paying the mortgage. So I did it. Well, not me. I brought up at the meeting in the fire department, backed up beef and beer. And the proceeds went to him, and it helped pay the mortgage for 3-4 months more.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then when the towers went down, we had one that we took up to Staten Island. It was Rescue 5, and they lost 13 members. And it brought tears to my eyes when I walked in that firehouse there. Nothing but quilts from all over the country. Not the country, all over the world, actually.
Yeah.
And where the hats and the fireman's coats and the boots they all throughout their entire engine room bay. It really brought 5 of us went up there and presented them with a $5,000 check,
That's wonderful.
and we put it into a scholarship
That's wonderful.
for the families if they needed any money, you know.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that's one of the highlights to that of my. So what's the other highlight? Oh, I got to meet George Bush when he was in the Blue Barn in Evesham. He ran for re-election in 2004, and Gene had me working with the Secret Service prior to his visit, and that was a 4-week. It's really intense when you have a presidential visit. I had to go to school in Philadelphia, a seminar for dignitary protection.
I think the convention was in Philadelphia that year, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, it was Camden, I think.
No,
I think
the National Convention.
National Convention. Yeah, Phil. Yeah.
Wow.
But George Bush, politics aside, he stepped off of Marine One, and I was the first guy standing in the driveway. And he came over, shook my hand, put his arm around me. Thanks for working with my Secret Service people on the Sheriff Craythorn. Was
Wow.
I got a picture of it. It's very
Nice
one
to
of the
be
patrolmen.
acknowledged.
Yeah, and he said, "Come on, I want you to walk me around." And we walked around
Very nice.
the entire perimeter of the school, and then he went up on the stage and made his speech.
That's great.
Yeah. So that was another step. Too many people get to meet a sitting
Yeah,
president
Sitting president,
that's
yeah.
right.
person. You know,
Good for you.
seemed to be a pretty nice guy. It was a pretty enlightening thing. You know.
A friend of mine lives in Edgewater Park now. He grew up around the corner from me. I actually grew up in Delray, and he worked for the Pemberton School District. But when he was audiovisual, he would deliver televisions and VCRs to different classrooms, to different schools in Pemberton Township. And it was during the week after 9/11, when all the airplanes were shut down. And he told me he was driving in the van down Pemberton Browns Mills Road and going to a school, and all of a sudden he noticed going over top of his shadow, big shadow, there was an airplane flying into McGuire. And he thought, wait a minute, there ain't supposed to be no airplanes in the air now. It was all ground. It was Air Force One. When George Bush went to New York, he took the helicopter to New York and made that speech with, people that knocked down
With the view.
Yeah.
With the fireman, put his arm around the fireman.
Well, that's when that was Air Force One went into
The people
McGuire.
who took these buildings down are going to hear from us.
Helicopter to New York.
Up
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah, he said, but the plane flew right over top of his
Wow.
van.
That's a memory.
Yeah. But there are some of the highlights of my life. I'm fortunate to have held the positions that I've held. Been lucky, and people treated me pretty good. I mean, what was gratifying is being the police chief in Beverly. I would go up and park the car, and I'd walk and just say hello to all the business owners. The owner of F&M, the shoemaker. What was his name? Kate, Mr. I forget his name. The shoemaker. Jimmy.
Okay, because I was going to say I don't remember.
Jimmy the shoemaker. Right next to check cashing place. He was the shoe guy.
Small.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a character. Always smoked a cigar. Right, John? I walked in there and that cigar sticking out of his mouth. He's blowing that smoke all in there. And I'm like, this guy loves his cigars. You know what I mean? And but he was a really nice guy. But they were glad to see the police chief walking the beat. And then they did the bike patrols. Remember, we did the bike patrols.
Right.
We did that. That's a win-win. That makes people think, hey.
That's what the small towns.
That's where the community policing phrase comes from.
Right.
You interact with the community. Back in years ago, it didn't happen. The police are on one side, the citizens are on the other side. Look, when we say go, you pay the bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's come around a lot now. Look at Camden. I'm really inspired by the Camden County Police, Regional Police Force down there.
Yep.
The crime is way down now because they all got
built
together.
it up. They built Camden's.
They added more officers. A lot of the town has been revitalized with a lot of the housing grants because the crime is not like it used to be. People were afraid to move there.
Harry, because the police chiefs are younger. The current police chief, I think his name is Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
His mom still lives in Camden, where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So I only know this because my daughter worked till very recently for the Camden County Police Department as a civilian. And she loved all the policemen and all the people that she worked with.
That's
Chief
good.
Rodriguez, the one before him, I can't remember his name. If I heard it, I would know it.
I should know it, but at my age,
Me too.
I think I'm pretty healthy, but I can't think of names like I
every
used
once
to.
in a while.
And my dad says, I'm 87, son, and that starts going on at the age, Because my
Thanks,
dad,
Dad.
he's
We're proof
87.
of that, right?
Yeah.
She said, go ahead.
But my daughter said that the cops are out
Hot dogs.
with a hot dog cart,
Mm-hmm.
giving hot dogs to the neighborhoods.
Mhm.
When Mr. Softy comes around, they pay for the kids Mr. Softy. Basketball, they'll stop their cruiser and they'll play with the kids there. All that means that the policemen are not the enemy.
Right, and you need to instill in these children that are growing up
That's who
that
Absolutely.
we can go to them.
That's what I mean.
You know,
they're
that,
not the enemy.
yeah,
just 'cause you're
like all he does is put
they're
handcuff
not the
people,
enemy.
throw
They
people.
are
You know, that's
people
what
just
that's
like
what kids
we are.
thought years ago. Oh, cops did a right ticket and throw people in jail. No, there's a lot more to the job. You know what I mean?
And for you to bring up Camden just warms my heart because I know that for a fact.
Well, it's one of the inspiring things that I see sitting in the background. That I said, that's one county that got their stuff together.
I think my daughter was
And
there
they
for
made
6
the
years,
policing
and she
work.
loved going. When I would tell a new friend, my daughter works for the Camden County Police Department and she loves it. They're like, how could she love it? No, let me explain to you why she loves it.
Camden had a bad rap name for years because of the high crime.
They did.
And I never used to like to go through Camden, but I'll go through Camden now any day.
I know.
I'm not afraid to drive through
That's
Camden.
my
I went to their jail one time because we had to take a female down. I was the matron for Beverly.
Oh.
That jail is, I don't know what it's like now, but it was really weird then. Because they started to frisk me. I was like, oh, no, I'm not that one.
She's the matron.
It's the other one.
Kate would go with all the female inmates.
They're like, oh.
I worked for a construction company for the last 20 years when I worked, and one year we had a contract. The company paid. It was a paving company. Paid all 9 or 10 schools in Camden to be done during the summer, and I got to know Camden pretty well from driving in these back roads in the schools and stuff. But
No, it's really that's one example right there that you can turn it around. You know, they really don't.
And it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens.
Yeah.
It still
my
happens.
dad told me that in the 1950s, Camden was the second largest city in New Jersey. Newark was the first, and Camden was the second.
Now Newark's having all
And
kinds
he
of
says,
problems.
when my mom used to go to the
Jersey
movies on a
City.
date, and they wanted to see a first-run movie, they went to Camden.
I used to go there in the 60s for orthodontists, and it was okay then. Got a little bad in the 70s, on up, but no, we used to go there. We used to go shopping in the, I don't know where it was, Woolworths or whatever it was
Probably,
there.
sure.
Yeah, and
Sears.
it was
You would go to
nice.
Sears.
Yeah.
You would go to Sears.
Right, yes. Always shopped at that Sears.
Presby's, yeah. Wilco, Grants.
So, but yeah, I'm going to start going down again just to check it out because the concerts down there. They have.
My father told me when he was a kid, he, like I say, grew up in Riverside. He saved up his money, bought a rifle, 22 rifle. He's walking down the street, down Scott Street with the rifle on his arm, and the policeman then, his name was Boschel, and he says, we cross the street. He says, "Hey, come here, I want to talk to you." My dad walked across the street with his rifle. He was so proud. The guy said, "Where'd you get that?" He said, "I just bought it." He said, "Let me see it." He took the rifle. He says, "No, I'm not have this." And he took it.
Yeah.
He took his rifle.
Yeah. I mean, in the old days, you could get away with that, but not today.
Yeah.
Today, well, I mean, and that's the other thing I want to bring up about policing now. I mean, I think they got 50, 60 pounds of gear on now. That's something that we never used to do. They have to have the camera running all the time.
Yes.
The vests, all kind of audio equipment. It's unbelievable.
I know when you came in, you kind of started talking about what's on this table with who had shown up early. Would you mind talking us through what's over here for those who aren't there?
Sure.
Because you got some really fun stuff.
Well, I pretty much mentioned things, but this is one where I was running for council. This is where they were comparing me to a celebrity along with Patrolman Leonard from Burlington Township. This was kind of like a Gail Lerner thing where she came down. I'm like, is there any other news you want to cover besides this? Well, I think it'd be great. We're going to put law enforcement in and compare them to celebrities. I'm like, really? Okay. But anyway, that, and then there was an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and new police chief in Beverly outlines 3 goals. And the biggest problem, I'll tell you what I had, was the cocaine trafficking going on.
Oh.
That was my biggest issue. It was hard to control that, down at 3rd and Broad, 2nd and Broad. But the good news is, as Kate can attest to this, is I had a very good relationship with the prosecutor's office. They respected me and I respected them. I had their undercover vans down here.
Wow.
And I had 57 drug raids in 3 to 4 years. I think my first year I had 19 when I was a police chief, because I went out there and I told them, I need help. I need help here. I'm a new guy. I'm young. I need help here. Well, we'll help you out. We'll send some undercover guys down there. They had some informants, went down there, went to town, and I believe it was close to over 50 raids altogether. I mean, 3, 4 in the morning, kicking in doors, and we were knocking the heck out of the drug problem here in Beverly. But then it was slowed down, and we'd have to go back at it again, because it never seems to resonate as it seemed to resonate. So, but my 3 goals was to deal with the drug problem, and to work with the council, and to serve the people of the town, with a community policing unit, and let the people interact with the officers that I had.
That's great.
So, and this is when I retired as an undersheriff. It was honoring to leave there too, because when I walked out of the beginning of the administration building, the officers lined both sides, and the guy that took he was a state trooper, and he had them all salute me, and it was really
touching.
Yeah, it brought tears to my eyes then too, and even the administrative staff, the girls and the guys and the administrative, I miss those folks.
Who took your place?
A guy named Peter Van Eyderstein. He was a retired state trooper, Pete Van Eyderstein. And then after him, there was a retired police chief in Lumberton. I can't think of his name now. He took it after Pete.
Big guy.
Yeah, real tall guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't know if you realize this, when a sheriff's elected, the sheriff can appoint an undersheriff or 2 and a chief. So it's kind of like a political appointment, you know what I mean?
Well, what's the difference between the chief of the county, like you said, chief, and the sheriff? I mean, I thought the sheriff was...
No, the sheriff is the elected title that runs the sheriff. That's the top person that runs the sheriff's department. The chief takes care of the patrolling, the court security, the jury maintenance stuff, the jury management stuff that we'd have to take pools of jurors from one floor to the other for court cases.
Okay.
It's a lot more involved in county. It's not like getting in a patrol car and driving around, you know what I mean?
So the sheriff...
You've got 17 Superior Court judges that need an officer in their courtroom.
Right.
And if they're in a high profile case, you need extra officers.
So the sheriff is just like a political...
He or she oversees everything. Yeah. They are the one. They're on the line. If things go bad, they call the sheriff.
Right.
It didn't happen too much when I was there, but I did have some officers that we took appropriate action that maybe didn't do their job in the courtroom, and then first person they're calling is that sheriff, and then the sheriff said, Under Sheriff Craythorn, we got a little problem.
I went to school with a guy who became a policeman, worked in the county building. His father used to be police chief in Palmyra. He was Florida.
Yeah.
Hey,
Chip Flournoy.
Chip.
Yeah, he's down in Rehoboth Beach. I know him. He's been up to visit me several times. Yeah, I know. His father was the first black police chief in Palmyra.
Yeah. He was a couple years behind me in high school. We played basketball.
Yeah, Chip. They call him Chip Flournoy. Yeah.
Chipper.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He used to work the first floor and scan everybody in the main 6-story building.
I've seen him there a couple.
One of the better employees that I said out of my 88 employees I had, he went to work every day. He knew his job. I didn't have to coach him. He knew his job. Yeah.
Wow.
And like you said, he came from a good family.
What a concept.
And
People know their job and they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to walk in there and, hey, I'm the sheriff, good morning, how you doing, And I'm like, Chip, I don't have to worry about you doing your job, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And this is a book that I put out in, I'm trying to think what year this was. I'm having trouble. But it was Reason for Tears, and it was like a drug education magazine that went out to the schools at certain levels, certainly not the younger kids, but the group of kids and it would go into, what to look for, it's an educational thing.
Wow.
And I would get the book publisher, and I don't know how many copies we had of these kids, hundreds and hundreds, and they went like crazy. And it was a very successful thing, all about drug abuse intervention and what to look for and what each thing does. It's very, very educational. And this was when they were talking about eliminating the police department. What they did was they put it on the November referendum for the voters to either vote yes to keep the police force or vote no to get the state police to take over. The state police. But they wouldn't be here all the time.
Yeah.
Even now, that's
Well,
not.
that's a
Well,
little
they did that
touchy
in
now, isn't it?
Yes,
Hainesport did that.
Hainsport's still that way.
Still?
Yeah. They don't have their local police force. No,
Wow.
they've had state police. But see, the thing is, it's not fair to the other towns
Since
because.
the 80s.
Well, now they're starting to charge them, but for many years the state police did not charge Haines. Like the Hainesport Council people did not have to pay state police for years for the coverage.
Wow.
They do now, a percentage because of state law.
How about that?
But so what? You're paying $100,000 versus $1 million.
That's true.
You're saving $900,000.
That's true.
So, but
But you don't have the one in the minute
right, yep.
policeman coming
Yes,
to your property.
right. It's not like the hometown service. You want,
Right.
when you call, you want an officer right away,
You want them 5 minutes.
and you want the
ago.
person that knows what you're going to tell them.
Sure.
They want somebody local. It's the local ties, the people. That's why they voted in this referendum. I didn't know which way it was going to go. I said, well,
Sure.
I'll find a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But I hate to see the town do this. But luckily, the people voted overwhelming to keep the police force.
Wow.
And to hire, and they did. I think they hired 2 officers. I needed 4. They hired 2. But see, Beverly was in a budget crunch. I don't know what your budget is now for police,
Oh.
but I'm going to tell you what it was when I was there. It was
right.
about $450,000.
Oh my.
That's pretty cheap compared to what it is now, right?
Yeah,
You're probably over $1.2 million, maybe.
We just spent some decent money outfitting some new vehicles.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about salaries.
Let's
And,
put it that way.
Yeah.
but that's what my total police budget was. I'd say $450,000 when I guess just before I left.
Mhm.
And they kept on me about keeping that down, and I get it because if the expenses go up, they got to pass it on to the taxpayer. And I'm a taxpayer. I'm a railroad man. I don't want to pay more taxes.
Mhm.
And that's what they like about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I try to explain to the people in the town, hey, there's no ratables here. Beverly has nowhere to grow. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Delanco, when I moved to Delanco, our taxes aren't that bad in Delanco, honestly,
Wow.
because they've got a lot of ratables. They're getting tax ratable money coming in.
Yeah.
Now, they do have one flunky thing that happened. They got that big warehouse next to the municipal building. They built it and nobody's in it. Whether they're paying taxes or not, I don't know.
Wow.
But
Nobody's in there?
and same one with Edgewater Park, the one behind Cramps.
I know.
I see cars in there now, so somebody's getting ready to buy that, which I'm glad because that means Edgewater will get tax ratables from that building. Why they build these
That was supposed to be a
$1 million warehouses?
That was supposed to be Wayfair. That one.
Yes. Wayfair furniture.
Furniture.
Yes, never worked out. They went belly up, bankrupt. The builder went bankrupt. I know this for a fact,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it just sat there. Now I don't know if there was an agreement that Edgewater Park was drawing revenue from those taxes for that building or not. I don't know.
Mhm.
What's the?
But I just don't like seeing that. Same thing down there on where old Hoganey's used to be. That big.
That was spec. They built that on speculation. Who's the
That was exactly. Now
committee in Edgewater Park?
they build these monstrous warehouses and nobody's in them.
I don't know.
I don't get it. Is there money making in that? Or I don't get it. I don't get that. I don't
They
get it.
have them in Burlington Township, where the old mall was. They built them there too.
That's
Yeah.
giant.
I mean, it's fine if somebody's in there and you get tax ratables because you're talking about buku bucks. Like these in Watson, when they were in Delanco, I mean, they got a 5-year reprieve, and then after the 5th year, they got to pay start paying taxes. Like it would be 20%, then 40%, then 60%, then 5 years later, you're paying full boat. You know what I mean? And that would attract industry because you're not hitting them all at once with 100% tax. You know? But.
But then they had the fire.
We don't have that problem.
Yeah, they had the fire. Yep. I was in the Pocono Mountains at my vacation home when that was burning, and I came back.
Where in the Poconos?
I have a camper up at Otter Lake Camp Resort.
Otter?
Uh-huh.
What town?
It's in Marshall's Creek.
Oh, I know where Marcus Creek.
Marshall's Creek.
I was born outside of Scranton.
Well, it's actually Middle Smithfield Township.
Okay.
If you know where Pike County and Monroe County meet. And then I retired in 2006 and they had a big retirement party for me at the Charlie's other brother, which was very nice.
Cool, very nice.
Very, very nice. A lot of speakers, freeholders.
And I think our party for you when you left the police department was much better.
Yeah, it was, Kate. I'm not going to say no to that. And it was big to bring. I was going to bring it, but I felt I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I don't want to bring all this.
If you can do it, it ain't bragging.
I know. It's stuff that I received. But it's the one that
I know, I said,
if you go in my living room, I have a fireplace, and over top of the mantle of that fireplace, it's huge. My house is pretty big.
Steve Patterson did it for us.
Patterson did the patches. I have a patch with all the local municipalities in one frame, and state fleet patches in the other frame.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm collecting patches from other countries. And I'm putting them in with the state police patch group.
Cool.
And then in the middle is what Frank gave me, where he really, his words in that paragraph, if you read them, it was like, I'm not a knock heads, knock guy down kind of guy, beat on people, so you're not going to solve the problem going to the jail.
Nope. And you hired a lot of officers that ended up being chiefs in different.
Oh yeah, I went to Adam Tilger's retirement party, and he brought my name up there and said, if it wasn't for Harry Craythorn hiring me, you know how many guys I've hired in the sheriff's department that have made chiefs of police and other jobs, lieutenants and sergeants?
That's wonderful.
And they never forgot me. They always, and I said, you gotta mention my name. They go up there, Harry's in the audience, and if you didn't hire me, I don't think I'd be where I am today. And it's really encouraging to hear that, because I helped somebody along the way in their career, and their families appreciate it.
Very satisfying.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
Burlington, Alan Snow,
Yeah.
he worked for me in Beverly.
City.
Police.
Adam Tilger was just in
Adam Tilger, I could go, Todd Vierick, guys in the county, Tim Horn. He's another Beverly guy. He's getting ready to retire. He's out at the prosecutor's office. He's been there a long time. He's a Beverly guy. You remember the Horn family? I don't know if you guys remember the Horn family from what street?
Carol and Ashton.
Very prominent Beverly family. Yeah, involved in sports. And his father was a great guy. His mother was a great person. And I guess what, he had 4 boys. And one of them was working for Page Funeral Home in Burlington, and Timmy's with the prosecutor, and I don't know what the other 2 boys are doing now. But there's a lot of people that work for me, either in Beverly or out at the county, that I hired that moved on and had some pretty nice ranking jobs.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, so.
Got a good record there, Harry.
I'm glad to help them, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, and this is
Give a man a fish and then for a day. Teach him how to fish.
a Senate commendation I got from, I don't know if anybody remembers Senator Jack Casey from Palmyra.
For Jack Casey.
Yeah, he gave me a nice Senate commendation when I left Beverly. I guess it's like a policeman of the year or something like that. New Jersey policeman, citizen recognized for his commitment to career in law enforcement has provided a standard of excellence for all who know and to emulate. So it was very nice to get that
I
too.
was on the county committee when he got elected to state assembly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So between Frank and him and the politicians, some of the they really treated me pretty good. Knowing that I was a Republican, they didn't care. I treated them the way they treated.
That's right.
2 things that I'm going to say. The reason I'm here and the reason I'm so successful is from my mother. My mother always told me growing up, treat people the way you want to be treated, and never kick somebody when they're down. And I never forgot those 2 concepts in life.
Good mom.
Yep.
Perfect.
And unfortunately, she died in my house in 2020 with hospice there, but I got to hold her hand for the last 5 minutes. She was on this side, so.
You were blessed.
Yeah. So, and I'm the oldest of all of us, of kids,
How many kids?
Well, there was 4. I lost a brother who drowned in the Delaware River in 1975 in a hunting accident down at Kaiser Gypsum. They were dredging down there, and the tide came up, and he had waders on. He went out, and he came back for lunch, went back thinking the water's only knee deep. It's 12 feet high. Yeah, they found him about an hour and a half later. The Perry Fire Company squad found him. And that was my brother Donnie. He was 1 year younger than me. He was 17. I was 18. I'll never forget, because I worked at Wall Rope, and Gene DeFlippo and Joe Barmowski, the police chief in Edgewater, came rushing into my work at Wall Rope. I'm like, what'd I do? You gotta come with us. I'm thinking, well, you gonna arrest me? What'd I do? Here, he said, you got a problem, your brother, they don't know where he's at. Well, they knew, they found him. But they didn't want to tell me.
I know.
So what they did, they took me home, and then I knew it was done. My mom was out there crying.
Of course.
God bless Nancy Richards. She was with my mom that whole time, helping her out and bringing food to the house. I mean, it's a very, very tragic time, losing a son and a brother, Wow. And, but I'm no stranger to tragedy. I mean, I lost a son from a drug overdose in 2011. He was 22 years old. My marriage was disbanded over, believe it or not, because we couldn't be on the same page on how to. Here, I'm a law enforcement. You know how I'm going to handle it.
I do.
And a mother has a different way of looking at it. You know what I mean? And it took me a while to get that, but I got it eventually. But it kind of cost us our marriage, and she went on her merry way, and I went on. I stayed in the house. She moved to Florida, and we're civil. We get along. We got 4 grandkids. We got to get along, But yeah, I've had some tragedy in my family, But The only thing I can say is I've had a wonderful career. I'm blessed. There ain't too many people have this opportunity. You got to work for it, though. But things just happen to play. The cards happen to play right in my hand. And I just tried to do the right thing.
And you did.
And I did.
You want to hold up this and I'll
Yeah, sure.
hold up something else. I'll get a picture of your.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here.